After the insane conclusion of Ultimate Spider-Man issue 12 ending off 2024, 2025 starts us off with an insane new arc as we're finally getting to see Kraven the Hunter take on Peter Parker and Norman Osborn in the Savage Land, seemingly. And we might also get an idea of what the ultimate version of Venom is for the new Ultimate Universe, from the end of last issue to even parts of this issue. And so much has been happening, and the slower pace of this story has started to jump up another gear, and I am so excited to see what happens in the future of this series. Now, before we jump into things, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I'm going to try and cover each and every issue of Ultimate Spider-Man and other Ultimate Universe titles, especially ones that I personally really enjoy myself. So look forward to all this, and I might make some other detailed videos outside of Ultimate Spider-Man talking about potential storylines and all that stuff. So look forward to that, because I'm having a lot of fun. But let's jump right into the issue. As we start off, it is now January in the Ultimate Universe, as we see people in New York seeing someone swinging in the air, as it is the 31st of the month, the very end of January, as we see the black-suited Spider-Man swinging around New York. As he then tries to land on a building, stumbles and gets back up. As we see the costume begin to fade away, we see that it is actually Peter Parker's son, Richard Parker, as the Picotech suit that was given to Peter by Tony Stark ends up unraveling around him, as he says, "At least that went better than last time." As the suit says, "It sure did. You're improving at a remarkable rate, kiddo. You know, your dad fell in a dumpster during his first time, and he had superpowers that moment anyway. So, what's up?" As Richard says, "You know what really freaks me out when you do that? Look like him." As he then turns his eyes black and says, "Is this any better?" Richard says, "Actually, that's a lot worse." As then the suit doppelganger of Peter then instantly turns back into the masked version of the Dark Spider suit, as he says, "Like this?" As Drew says, "Thanks, I understand why you do it, to pretend like things are normal, but Dad's gone almost 2 months, and it's a reminder. I'd rather you not pretend when it's just us." As the suit says, "Yeah, sure, of course. Your mom said the same thing." And Richards bring the fact, "Hey, wait a minute. I just thought about it. About Mom, there's not anything." As the suit says, "Whoa, hold on. Look, your dad made this very clear. Gave me 3 rules that I should follow. 1, no touching MJ. 2, protect the family, no matter what. And 3, no touching MJ." As Richard says, "Oh, good to know. So this is all so weird." As the suit says, "Sure is. That's one word for it." And Richard's like, "I'm just worried about him. Do you think he's okay?" As the suit says, "What I know is that your dad's a fighter. He'll get up from whatever's knocked him down, and if it was worse than that, if he was gone, I would know that too." As he says, he's not quite sure about it, but he just doesn't understand it too much. As he goes on to say, it doesn't really work that way in terms of being able to find him. "I did tell him a few months ago that if he wanted, I could inject a trace amount of myself into his bloodstream, and that way I'd always be able to find him. I also told him I could do the same for all of you, but he didn't care for the idea anyway." As the suit unravels and begins to morph and cover over Richard, as he says, "I bet he changed his mind now." As the suit says, "Well, as soon as we get him back, we'll have to ask." As Richard sighs and says, "Where are you, Dad?" As he suits up as Spider-Man on the edge of the building. Now, before going on, from what seems to be the case, after MJ discovering that Peter's gone, she told the kids, and after finding out this whole thing with the suit, Richard, most likely behind MJ's back, has been filling in as Spider-Man, learning how to fight crime, and at least give the illusion that Spider-Man is taking down criminals and fighting people and protecting people. And the black suit is just a decent way to differentiate it. It is probably just Richard's own method of just having his own identity as Spider-Man. And again, the fact that the suit can move around on its own and interact with Richard with seemingly almost identical way of speaking to Peter is definitely something that I wasn't fully expecting. But based on the fact that we have the black spider suit and the way that the Picotech is moving around and even going around Richard, this might be our first real introduction into the Ultimate Universe's version of Venom. Instead of being an alien symbiote, at least maybe at first, it is this super advanced AI tech suit that Peter isn't using right now, and based on the suit saying that it's connected to Peter through a trace amount of it in the bloodstream, being able to at least sense if Peter's alive or not, which is a really cool and interesting way to introduce an ultimate version of Venom, because the original ultimate version of Venom from the original Ultimate Universe wasn't really an alien symbiote. It was a symbiote created in a lab by Peter and Eddie's fathers as a lab experiment that kind of went wrong and led up to that version of Venom and everything that happened in that version of the Ultimate Universe. So with what's being set up here, it's very clear we're going to be getting this new iteration of Ultimate Venom later down the road, seeding the seeds of what is definitely a major future plot point. And if we want to get and make things very personal for Peter in the future, instead of us getting Eddie Brock, the first Venom in this universe might end up being his son Richard, or if we go even further along the line, if we go like some other instances of Venom from other mediums, Harry could potentially become the new Venom. But that's all just crackpot theories at this point, and I would love to make videos just talking about Ultimate Venom. But we got the rest of the issue to talk about, so let's move along. As we go to the Kingdom of the Mole Man below Staten Island, as he is leading Kraven down a large staircase to an area where we see pterodactyls leading, as it seems like this is a version of the Savage Lands. As the Mole Man is asking how long Kraven has had them, I ask because no one likes to be surprised, Kraven, and he will take it less than anyone. As Kraven says, I've had them long enough to break them down, drug them, beat them, learn their strengths, relish in their weaknesses. You and the others will simply have to endure my indiscretions. I tell you, friend, I anticipate this being my greatest hunt. As the Mole Man asks, do what you will, I don't care, not one bit. But this is you dragging me into your schemes, making me part of your plans. For you want to do the deed in my territory and make the Mole Man complicit in your acts. As Kraven goes on to say, such a minor sin for such a major act. Don't you know me by now? I'm not some recreational hunter claiming trophies on the weekend. I am a true predator, and the hunt must be pure. There must be real risk. The prey must be free, and the environment not just my advantage. As we see this 4-armed ape creature strangle a Triceratops. The Mole Man says, look, I'm not sure you truly understand what you're asking, Kraven. This is not a soft land. It is a savage land. As Kraven says as he sees a giant red T-Rex laying next to a pterodactyl seemingly, or a pterodactyl man. I'm curious to see what that is all about. He says, yes, I can see that. The creatures you have down here are remarkable. They are from a better time when the world was simple and motivations were pure. Live or die, kill or be killed. This place is truly a testing ground. It is perfection. As the Mole Man says, yeah, and it's mine. So I'll say it again. I will decide how it will be you, and by whom. As somebody off in the distance says, well, I see neither of you were paying attention to the Kingpin when he spoke, because he was very clear. As Mysterio appears, saying, what is ours is only ours at his pleasure. So the only question that matters is, do your actions please him or anger him? Kraven pauses and says, I told you we were to meet in secret. As Mole Man says, please, this wasn't my doing, I did not invite him. And Kraven says, are you accusing me of doing this? Mole Man says, well, did you? But Mysterio, in a puff of smoke, says, don't fight, boys. This is not on either of you. I simply come and go as I please, whenever, wherever. As Kraven says, I hope you don't plan to try and stop me, with Mysterio saying that no, where would be the fun in that? What I want is to see them. As he asks Mole Man, don't you? Mole Man agrees, and Kraven says, very well, comrades. Follow me. As we cut to the surface, as Peter and Harry are at a table filled with food and drinks, looking beaten and bruised, as Mysterio asks Kraven if he keeps them sedated. But Kraven says, I did at first, but I got to know them. Then there were other drugs to learn their hidden secrets and their greater truths. And of course, the occasional bout of physical domination necessary in these captor-captive situations. But now I've come up with something more effective. Mysterio walking up to Peter and Harry, saying, bomb collars? With what looks like a proximity sensor. Kraven confirms this, saying, a different kind of cage for a different kind of animal. Mole Man starts to eat as he says, and all this is what? A final meal before the hunt? As Kraven confirms it, saying, there is a way these things are done. After all, Where's the sport in hunting a starving animal? Mysterio looks at Harry, says, how are you going to do it? Asking Kraven. As Kraven says, I won't lie. My first instinct was to be a loyal soldier. I was going to make them fight each other to the death while we, the 6 of us, looked on. Harry says, we would never do that. As Kraven says, yeah, I have to agree. Especially once I learned that one of you was a physical dynamo and the other was just a weak man in a suit. It didn't lend itself to the kind of satisfaction I craved. So I dug a little deeper, looked for more of profound motivating factor. Truth serums and monogamy showed me the way. It woke the hunter in me. Moment says, you know who they really are. As Kraven says who Green Goblin is, being Harry Osborn, who is the heir to the Oscorp Corporation, as he is the current owner. And he's the one that is in a high-tech power suit. And his only family is his wife, Gwen. Harry tells him not to hurt her, as Kraven says, her fate is entirely in your hands, Mr. Osborn. And Moment asks who Peter is, as Kraven says, while plunging a knife into the table, this is Peter. Peter Parker with his perfect wife, Mary Jane, and his perfect children, Richard and May. Such a hard thing to hold on to. Perfection. So I want to see if he can. And mind you, this whole time Kraven's talking right now, Peter is in a shade of black, as we're not seeing his reactions and emotional state right now, or his facial expression. Very interesting choice. Mysterio sighs, saying, there's nothing more tedious than believing that facts about a person reveal who they truly are. As Kraven says, spoken like a true Mysterio. But I agree. That's the point of the hunt, to reveal the prey as they truly are. Harry shouts to listen to him. You abducted us, drugged us, and tortured us. We're never going to play your stupid game. Kraven goes on to say, oh, but you will. You will run, and I will hunt. Because if you die, so does your family. But if you can kill me, then you and your loved ones are safe. Moment saying, are you sure we to assume that the great Kraven the Hunter will hunt 2 of Kingpin's greatest enemies alone? Kraven with full confidence says, I will. Moment with a smile says, then you can have my jungle, but only if you entertain me. A wager, perhaps. And of course, all this depends on if the hunted choose to play along. Harry's looking at Peter as he says, I've changed my mind. I'll take that deal. Kraven says, wonderful. I cannot tell you how pleased this makes me. Shall we eat? One final meal, as my comrade put it. He says to let them go and he refuses the food. And Kraven asks what Peter wants. You've said nothing. Don't you have anything you want to say? As we see a look of Peter, defiant, looking square at Kraven. Kraven saying, I see you, hero. I see what you are. So why wait till I give you the hunt? With a smile on his face, Kraven pushes a button underneath the table as a trapdoor opens, plunging Peter and Harry down into the savage jungle owned by the Mole Man. As the 2 of them are falling from the sky, parachutes come from the chairs. As they are then hung up on trees, Peter breaking free, Harry saying, great, now I've got to find a way to get down, as then he falls out from the tree in his chair, restraints falling down, but Peter manages to catch him at the last minute. Wondering where they are, Peter says, well, as you noticed, we fell down, so subterranean, I think. And then, out of nowhere, the proximity sensors on their bomb collars begin to beep, as the 2 of them are starting to freak out as they are outside of a certain area, thanks to Kraven, and the bombs might explode. But then, that's not the case. The bomb collars come off, as we get a transmission from Kraven, as he's laughing at them, saying, it's a good joke, no? And that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. Get used to it. But do not worry about bombs. I would never rob myself of the pleasure of looking you in the eyes and deep into your soul before I claim my prize. Personal and close enough to smell your blood. But that fear of your end, looming just around the corner, that is real. You have 3 hours to prepare yourselves, and then I'm coming for you. Oh, one last thing. You're in the Savage Land, and here, it will not be me who is hunting you. So please, comrades, do try to stay alive, as Peter and Harry begin to run in the distance, trying to figure out a plan of what to do. Peter says that they're in a jungle most likely, so they just have to keep running in a straight line to reach the center or dead center of the jungle, and then think of plans to head in a straight line after that to find the edge. Then figure out some way to the surface. Harry asks the obvious question of how are they going to deal with Kraven, as Peter says hopefully we can evade him and get out of here without him noticing. Peter says, Harry, we have to get home. I can't worry about anything but that right now. He knows about our family. Harry says, which is why we need to try and end this here. I don't have my suit, so I'm the most vulnerable here. But Peter. But before Harry says anything, Peter's spider sense goes off, telling Harry and notifying him to look out. as we see a raptor come around from the bushes and try and attack them. Peter grabs it from the mouth, holding and prying its jaw open. As Peter breaks free, he punches the raptor, doing it repeatedly until, I believe, he managed to either knock it out or kill it. And as Peter towers over with his bloodied fists over the raptor, Harry says, well, now I feel better about our chances getting out of here. You okay? Peter says, I'm fine, but then notifies Harry as 2 more raptors appear from behind him. As he is scared out of his mind right now, Peter holds out his hands and says, do not move, trying to invoke the Jurassic Park logic of don't move, maybe they won't see. But it's then we cut away from Peter and Harry as we cut back to the city at 11:58 p.m. as Richard and the suit are having a conversation. As the suit says, gotta say, kiddo, that was pretty impressive work back there. Richard says you, now that it's over, I'm kind of shaking. The suit says, that's a completely natural reaction to the adrenaline your body was producing, Richard. Take a deep breath. As Richard's saying, Mom and Dad would be so furious if they found out. I could have gotten hurt. As the suit says, it was a petty criminal, Richard. You were never in any real danger, and if you had frozen up or stumbled, I would have stepped in. Richard says, okay, but Mom and Dad would still be mad. The suit says, yeah, probably, but we'll deal with that if it becomes a problem. Richard sighs, saying, it was pretty cool. I was pretty cool. As he's swinging, a silhouette in the corner is seen, launching a disc, slicing up the Picotech web as Richard falls down and stumbles over on the rooftop. As we then see this new version of Selina, the Black Cat, says, I have some bad news for you, Spider-Man. Richard says, supervillain? The suit says, appears so. As Richard says, oh man, not good. As Selina says, I believe you knew my father. The Black Cat? Well, I'm the new one. And with that, the issue comes to an end. Honestly, really great 13th issue, setting us up for this little arc with Richard essentially becoming a substitute Spider-Man and learning the ropes, with the suit potentially setting up a new version of Ultimate Venom, alongside everything going on in the new Savage Lands with Kraven hunting down Peter and Harry as they're trying to get out. And also now, the Sinister Six now 100% know who Harry and Peter are outside their suits and their families. So things are definitely a much bigger threat and much higher stakes than they were previously. So them having to get out of the situation, take on Kraven, survive the Savage Lands and get out, and Richard having to deal with Black Cat with the Picotech suit, is definitely going to be something very interesting, and I can't wait for these storylines to converge and lead to something else down the road. But what did you guys think of this issue? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, as well as what do you think we'll be getting with this new, potentially ultimate version of Venom in this new universe, and how do you think this confrontation with Kraven will end up playing out, and how this new Black Cat, this new Selina, will end up playing a role in the future of the story. Let me know. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And if you want to see me talk about another comic in the Ultimate Universe, go and check out my video on Ultimate Wolverine issue 1 right now on screen.